Here we are, Thanksgiving week, and tonight at our church service, we're just having a Thanksgiving night. We're just talking about what we're thankful for, spending much of the night just in verbally expressing our thanks. And I wanted to read a couple verses. Over in Psalm 34, it says, I'll bless the Lord at all times. And we'll read it to make sure I'm thinking right. I'll bless the Lord at all times. His praise shall continually be in my mouth. We ought to thank God all the time. But I'm grateful for our country that we have this once a year that years ago was set up as a time of Thanksgiving. I think President Lincoln proclaimed the day of fasting. We turned it into a day of feasting and football, but it was a time that was set aside for thanksgiving to God, for his mercy. And he's been so good to us, there's no question about it. I'm going to read a verse or two in Psalms 103 here in a minute. But I'm thankful, and I want to encourage you to be thankful. So tonight, this afternoon Bible study as well, we're just going to go around and what are you thankful for? And then we'll read some verses on Thanksgiving. We'll sing some songs about thanks and praise. God deserves an awful lot more than he gets. He deserves a lot of praise from our lips. Tomorrow, there'll be people cheering on football players, blocking, rushing, throwing a ball, catching a ball. And we'll give all kinds of praise to human beings, and they are exceptional in their area. They may be a wreck with their money and their marriage and their morals, but they can play football. And then, but what about the one who made them? What about the one who made that eye-hand coordination? That guy who's able to, while people are coming in trying to kill him, he can still focus downfield and see all that's going on and get the ball there. Who made the eye and the mind and the response and the reactions and the muscles and all that? He deserves the praise. But I would like to encourage you to take time to thank God. If you're around, come to church tonight. But if you're not around in our area, take time to be thankful. Tomorrow, remind your family as you gather together to be grateful. Who are we grateful to? We're grateful to God. Yep, you ought to be thankful to Mom for the cooking and all that she does through the years. You ought to be thankful to Dad for his hard work and whatever investment he's put into you. But let's remember to thank God for how good he's been. Thanksgiving is a time to be thankful. Well, in Psalms 35, I mentioned Psalm 34, I'll bless the Lord at all time, but Psalm 35, verse 28's got another good verse on that. Psalm 35, 28, my tongue shall speak of thy righteousness and of thy praise all the day long. Verse 18, I will give thanks to thee in the great congregation. I'll praise thee among much people. Get around church, and he says, we're going to gather the congregation together, and I'm going to praise God for how good he is. Another place says, I'll praise God among the Gentiles or the heathen. I forget the word he used. He's going to praise God all the time. Psalm 71, and down at verse 22, he says, I will praise thee with the psaltery and even in thy truth, O my God. Excuse me. Unto thee will I sing with the harp, O thou Holy One of Israel. My lips shall greatly rejoice when I sing unto thee, my soul, which thou hast redeemed. My tongue also shall talk of thy righteousness in all the day long, and of thy, for they are confounded, for they are brought to shame that seek my hurt. There ought to be some great praise in our hearts, in our minds, and from our lips. Not just a grateful heart, but lips. That's an acceptable sacrifice, the book of Hebrews says. Well, over in Psalm 103, by the way, thank you. If you didn't hear me before, thank you for all the investment over the weekend. Several thousand people heard the gospel that would not have heard had it not been for the sacrificial giving and service of people who work Saturday and Sunday. And we had about, 10 different services around the community, from maybe smallest to 40 to 50, the biggest being a couple of hundred. And just a great time. And I love it because I get to go see. I did Sunday school in church, and then caught up with one group, got to their last meeting, and saw 3 of our church men preaching. And I'm so thankful. I'm just thankful that God reaches out and draws men to serve him. And they asked me, you want to preach this last meeting? I said, no, I preach all the time. You guys preach. and one of our men in Spanish, one of the men to the young people, one to the adults. And what a great thing as a pastor to see God using his men and ladies out preaching. But thank you for your giving financially to help it work. Thank you for your prayers. Thank you for your people that got out and got the work done. It's a great weekend. Psalm 101, bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that is within me, bless his holy name. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not all his benefits. Now, I'm going to stop right there for a minute. Forget not all his benefits. We ought to be grateful for his benefits. Now, I think of benefits, those are just earthly things. Car, house, food, clothing, a heater in the winter, a air conditioner in the summer. I'm thankful that my roof doesn't leak. I'm thankful that the car starts. I'm thankful the lawnmower starts. I'm thankful for my fruit trees and my oranges, lemons, and the citrus. They're all they're all getting ripe, and then it won't be long after they are done that we'll start picking peaches and plums and apricots, and I'm thankful for the benefits, just the benefits. How many benefits has God given you? Yes, you're saved. Yes, you're his child. It's like you get a job, but what's the benefit package? You get all these extra perks that come along with a job. Well, when you get saved, God gives you some benefits. I'm in America. What a blessing to be in America. What a blessing to have a family. Look, let's go on here. Forget not all his benefits. Think how good God's been. Who forgiveth all thine iniquities. All right, better stop there. I am thankful that God forgave all my iniquities. All my sins have been forgiven, every one of them, from the littlest to the biggest, from the ones early on in my life to the ones yesterday and today. God forgives our sin. What a God. What a wonderful God. And, thinking about benefits, a prudent wife, Proverbs says, is from the Lord. I'm thankful for my wife. I'm thankful for my children. I just think you could just go on and on about kids and grandkids. I'm thankful that my kids work. To my wife and I, work is an important thing. If you don't work, if you're not a laborer, something wrong with you. And I love being in my children's homes and seeing them work and labor. They're workers for God, workers for their family. There's not any lazy. My kids may not be the smartest, and although they're ahead of their dad, but they work, and I'm thankful for that. That my wife, of course, was the big influence on them at home, but for the church, the school, the youth department, my wife and my parents had a great influence on my children, and my kids know how to work. My kids are all in church, and I am just thankful. How very thankful for my wife, for my children. You think about those little kids. Just had a 12th grandchild born a couple of weeks ago, and here this little girl, and she's already responding, and just beautiful children. And you look at these kids, and thank God, remember his benefits. Forget not all his benefits. Oh, the good things God's done for you. I think about my parents. I never knew a day in my life I was not loved. I can't remember a time when I felt no one cared about me. And we weren't always in church, but I was always loved. And we may not have had a lot of money, but I always had food and clothing and a home to go to. And I knew that when I got there, the people there loved me. So very important. And realize there's millions of people that don't have that. And think about the benefits God has showered on you, and that we have family. I love that that Thanksgiving tomorrow and at Christmas, Lord willing, there'll be my mom and my sister and my wife. And so that's that part of our family. And then you got 4 children and their spouse. And at Thanksgiving, and again, it's a little blur because one of my kids is traveling on Friday after Thanksgiving. They won't be at Thanksgiving dinner, but they'll be with us Friday. And they'll shift a little bit who's with us Thanksgiving and Christmas, but just a day or two here and there. But 4 kids and their spouse, and each one has 3 children, so 3 grandchildren, and Glad you don't get germs through the YouTube. You get other the YouTube and the media presents a whole lot of other corruption, but at least you won't get my cold that's starting up here. But I'm saying, forgetting all those benefits. Boy, look at those kids. And I mentioned Sunday night in church, the power of the follower and the influence of a follower. And having a granddaughter or a grandson come up and give me a hug and say, I love you. Doesn't take much more than that to keep a man motivated. Men are simple creatures. A little love, little admiration and respect, and that they're also simple to break down. Lack of love, lack of respect, but he benefits. Remember his benefits, and then would you remember that he forgives all of our iniquities? He goes down a little bit further. Verse 4: He redeemeth thy life from destruction. Oh my, what a mess we could have been. What a tragedy America could have been. What a tragedy we could be in a North Korea where people are starving and people are ordered around and told what they can do and can't do and told what they're supposed to think and not think. We could have been born one of a billion people in India with a 90% unemployment rate. We could have been born one of the billion people in China. And of course, there's Christians in those countries who love God and have all of his things. But we've got he's redeemed us from destruction. I'm not going to hell. He's redeemed my life from destruction. He not only not earthly destruction. Think of the number of times you could have gotten in a car accident and he preserved you. Think of the number of diseases that could have taken your life. Think of the number of tragedies that could have happened. Oh, we've got a God who's been so good to us. And so we remember his benefits and remember his forgiveness. And then remember he's kept us from destruction. And then in verse 5, who satisfieth thy mouth with good things. Oh, God gives us so many good things. And he gives us chocolate and soda pop, and he gives us ham and turkey and roast beef, and he gives us mashed potatoes and gravy and sweet potatoes with butter all over the top and marshmallows and brown sugar. And that's just what makes Thanksgiving to me. I would rather give up football than give up my sweet potatoes. And boy, he fills our mouth with good things. And it goes all the way through here. One of the first chapters I memorized in the Bible was Psalms 103. What a God. What a wonderful God. And take some time to thank him for being so good. Take some time to thank him. Look around you. Look around at your room. You may just have a room. Maybe you've got a house. Maybe you've got animals. Maybe you've got family. Maybe you're alone. Maybe you're in a small little apartment. But would you look at those walls and thank God? And in America, you turn that water on. What a blessing. Flowing water. Turn the lights on. They work. Oh, God's been awfully good to us. Let's don't forget how good our God has been to us.